What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing well out there. So I've got a cool little video for you, something a little bit different today. So just recently I was perusing on DLT and they happen to have some really amazing sales going on, which apparently that happens quite often. So first thing I'm going to do is shout out DLT Trading. Definitely check those guys out. We will take a look at one of the things I picked up. So I actually picked up some RGT scales for the Smock. So I just recently picked up this well-loved Spyderco Smock, and there we go, ripsgaragetech.com. So they had these scales for 50% off. They had a lot of RGT scales for 50% off. I really wanted to pick up more than what I did, but I showed a little restraint, so I also was able to get a knife from them guys as well. So I wanted to get scales for that one, but instead I just chose to stick with what I had here. So these are, and we will zoom in, these are the Python micarta, and this is purple, black, and white Python micarta. You can see both scales there. They're kind of the opposite of each other, so you can kind of see that there. Pretty cool looking scales. So what I'm going to do today is I am going to put these scales on my my Smock. So I was able to pick up this from a fellow knife enthusiast, one of the guys in the community. He offered a killer deal on this knife. It is a well-loved Smock. It has scales. I'm not sure who made the scales, but it does have, looks like some, I don't know if they're homemade or who made them, but they do have some wooden scales with a bit of rock texture on there. It's not really my jam, but you know, to each their own. And then it is missing the pocket clip, so I have a pocket clip and screws on their way. But I wanted to go ahead and get a set of scales for this guy. And then this has a, from what I'm understanding or from what I'm told, it has a transparent knives regrind. It may have been one of his originals. I'm not sure. But this knife has been well loved. It's a little smaller than what it would normally be. And you can see that here on the scale length there. So the blade only comes down pretty good way, or only comes down, it stops pretty short. So your blade to handle ratio is a little off there, but either way it goes, it's a cool knife. It's a fun fidgety little knife, and it is razor freaking sharp. But I wanted to, like I said, I wanted to get a set of scales for it, so I'm going to go ahead and take a look at what we've got here from RGT. So we'll go ahead and start taking this guy apart. So I want to understand it is all T8 hardware. Let's see here. Yep. So let's go ahead and start taking this guy apart. So I don't know if I'll end up having to fast forward this stuff or not. Never taken one of these guys apart. I've never owned a Smock, so this is a first time for me. Let's see. Okay, it's just what I thought. So it is a captive pivot, or clip side is the side that we can undo. So first thing I'm going to actually do, before I get too far down the rabbit hole, is I am going to clean off my pivot screw with some rubbing alcohol. And go ahead and get some VC3 set up on that pivot screw. Oof, I think it's got some nastiness to it. So let's go ahead and get this thing cleaned up really good. All right. Get it dried off there. Like I said, we'll get some Vibratite VC3 painted on these threads. Let's see. Try to find a good spot for this rag. Now it's got alcohol all over it. All right. Get that screw back on there. So again, for those that do not know, this is what I absolutely recommend for doing anything with pivots. It is a removable thread locker. It is reusable. So that's what I really enjoy about it, is because I can reuse it. I don't have to reapply every time I take my knife apart. I don't have to deal with that crap. I just paint it on there. I'm going to take this off camera real quick while I do this. All right. So here you can see, let's find the spot where I painted on there. Well, you can't really see it, but just got a little bit of VC3 painted on there. I'm just going to let that dry. It takes about 10 minutes or so to dry on there. So while we're waiting on that, I will go ahead and finish removing these scales. I'll just go ahead and take this time and opportunity to clean the knife up. I said, it's razor, super razor sharp, but I don't know how it's maintained otherwise. So we'll go ahead and pull those off of there. Let's see here. And oh, what was that? Okay, so there went my stop pin. Okay. All right. That's not too shabby. Okay. Yeah, it's not bad. Not super duper dirty. There we go. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and get my new scale on here. I'm sorry, I'm not even in freaking frame here. One of these years I'll get this part figured out. There we go. So just bring the rag back in here. Just gonna clean up my bearings. So just take them, rub them in between my hands, in between the cloth there with some, with the alcohol in there. Clean that up real good. Go ahead and set this back on there. Hello, bug. It's getting springtime. Fun, fun, fun. Start getting all kinds of bugs and crap flying around. All right. So where does that index? Oh, index is on this side, does it? Yep. Ramblings of a Madman. So I'm going to go ahead and put my standoffs in here and go ahead and put my screws back in on this side. So let's get my... This was the first side that I undone. So these screws did get a little bit of stuff cut off of them, so they're not going to be perfect. They don't fit perfectly, but it's okay. Like I said, I've got a full set of hardware coming that I think will sit flush, but if not, it's not the end of the world. I'm not super concerned about it. These aren't terrible anyway. They're a little pokey, but not terrible. So I think it would have been better if they weren't ground down, but they've been ground on just a little bit. All right, and then we'll go ahead and set our stop pin, and it is indexed. It does have a flat spot in it, so there's that. All right, first bearing goes in. Of course, we'll use a little bit of our Carbon Honey donut lube from our friends at Carbon Honey and CDC. Go ahead and just put in a little bit of oil there. Go ahead and get this other bearing out. Clean up the grease off of our blade. You can see this was like an acid wash. You know, of course, you don't any spots where there's friction, going to be friction involved. You don't mess with the you don't do the acid wash on that part. So there's that. And there you can kind of see the how much of the blade, because usually I think it comes out to about here. It comes down pretty good ways too. So there's a good bit of this blade missing, just from from the years of use and so on and so forth. Again, not the biggest problem in the world. It's just something to acknowledge because it is there. These are really nice bearings. These might even be, I don't know if these are skiffs. So this might even be, yeah, I think these are skiffs, if I had to guess, because I don't think those are factory bearings. But I don't know for sure because I didn't buy this knife. I didn't mod this knife, so I did buy it, but I didn't mod it. Bought it secondhand. That's what I'm trying to get at there. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and throw on our scale. Clean it off real quick. Okay, so if you've never messed with a Smock, this is the button is actually attached to the to the top liner lock, or yeah. So very interesting button actuated liner lock. Let's see here, get this lined up. Oh, okay. I wonder. Yep. Okay, so this part right here. This is where I was thinking, how I was thinking the knife should have been put together. This is where that comes in. So the Smock has all of the lock side has indexes. So if you look, those holes have flats in them, and then the pivot hole has a flat in it. So they mean for you to put this knife together from this side, having this side built first. At least that's how I'm seeing it, because, or maybe they just want you to put the standoffs on this side and build it from the other way, but the standoffs are keyed on one side and not on the other. So that's why I couldn't get it to go together, because the side that I was using didn't have any keys on it, or it wasn't keyed at all, so it was not allowing me to put it together. So the more you know. Like I said, the first time I've ever messed with one of these, and yeah. So let's get this lined up, get this on there. Okay. All right. Okay, so standoffs are on that side now, and I guess I can just I'll see if I can still do the pivot from this side, because the stop pin there does have to be on this side, because it indexes off of this side. So, all right, let's see if we can get this together now. That went together way easier, and we'll just rotate this until it clicks in. All right, so now that's clicked in there. Those are all clicked together. Okay, so let me go ahead and come in here with one of my screws just to hold this together. All right, so there's that. Let's push this in again. Okay, go ahead and grab our pivot screw. Okay, all right, we are getting somewhere. Go ahead and tighten up put in our last screw. Check all our tightnesses on everything. The blade doesn't weigh anything, so if it's just a hair too tight, it won't fall. There we go. That works. And it still bounces out pretty bad, but just try another little micro adjustment. There we go. Perfect. Yeah, so not too shabby. I definitely like the feel of the micarta better. It gives it a little more of a substantial feel. Not rounded off or anything like that, but it does give it a little better hand feel. And of course the carbon honey is fantastic stuff, so that's going to allow it to kind of set in a little bit better there. And even as I'm going, the more I'm doing it, the more it needs to be tightened up, just because that oil is getting into the bearings and helping them do their job. So I have to keep making small adjustments to it. There we go. Yep, that's what I wanted. Yep, all right. It's a cool deal. And so that is where we started. Versus where we're at. So not too shabby. I like that change. And like I said, I've got some black hardware and a black titanium pocket clip that will be here sometime in the next couple of weeks. I think they said first week of April, I believe, is when they said they'll be here. And I got a little bit of schmutz on this thing. Oh well. Well, I just darkened up my my micarta from getting it wet, but let that dry off a little bit. But yeah, so we've got the Python carbon fiber and replaced the wood scales that we had on there. So appreciate you guys for watching. Make sure to check out DLT and Rip's Garage Tech RGT. Make sure to check all those guys out. What did I do with the DLT? There it goes. So get these guys in the picture here. So be sure to check out DLT and RGT. Great place to pick up your knives, and I am pretty impressed with the quality of these little micarta scales. So make sure you check those guys out, and they weren't priced too terribly bad as well. So they were half price. So they were, I think I paid $30 for them. So normal price is, I'm guessing, $59.99. And they are made in Chippewa Falls, it looks like. Let's see if I'm able to read that correctly. There you go. So again, there's your information for RGT. And then again, check out DLT Trading. As always, folks, be kind, be humble, be EDC. And we'll catch you on the next one.